Assalamu alaikum. My name is Maryam Lemu and welcome to the show Sisterly, the show where we talk about social issues, contemporary issues, and issues to do with our deen. After the break, we shall be going into professionalism and how to succeed in the workplace. See you soon. Assalamu alaikum, viewers. Welcome back. As I promised, today we'll be talking about professionalism and how to succeed in the workplace. My name is Maryam Lemu, and with me, as usual, are my friends. To my right is...
Assalamu alaikum, Bimpe Aliu.
And...
Monsurat Vincent, Assalamu alaikum.
And...
Assalamu alaikum, Giazat Bumiade Bimpe.
Popularly known as Queen Bee. Now, on today's show, in the heart of every professional is a search for excellence. Excellence in everything we do. Excellence in our competence, how good we are at the work, at the job we do. Excellence in our character, our moral ethics that guide us. Excellence in our image, what we project when we are working. And also excellence in our attitude to our work. How do we put ourselves on our job? How effective are we? So today I want us to talk about professionalism and what your interpretation is of professionalism.
Thank you very much, Maryam. Professionalism, that's one thing employers are struggling to still have in their workplace now.
Yes.
Ideally, you look at professionalism as that's people bringing to bear competence,
exactly.
Good competence and high quality skills in how they carry out their job. I'm an accountant by background, and that means I've been certified by professional body to carry out that work. And before you are being certified, you must have gone through some courses, some programs where you're trained on the skills required to do your job as an accountant. And then when you get to the workplace, you're supposed to bring those skills to bear on the job that you're doing. But unfortunately, people have not been able to do that. And that's why employers are having challenges retaining and recruiting in the first instance, good hands, and also retaining the ones they have. Because people don't just bring it in. The competence they've acquired over the years, the skills being acquired over the years are not brought to bear on the work that is being carried out. And that's why we have the kind of quality of work you see everywhere now.
They're not giving their best.
They're not giving their best in most cases.
Exactly.
In most cases.
Exactly. Bimpe, what would you say about your interpretation of professionalism? What does it mean?
Everything Monsurat has said.
Yes.
But you know, when you sign up for a particular role, you must be competent to actually carry out that role without necessarily giving up your values.
Exactly.
And also, of course, you have to abide by the rules and policies that actually guide that organization.
Yes.
Be it sports industry, banking, entertainment, whatever industry you are.
And even as an entrepreneur.
You may even be the owner of the company.
Yes.
But so long as you've signed up to be the MD of the company or to be an employee, you have to make sure that you deliver on the contract you've signed up to do.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, Queen Bee, what's your take on professionalism?
Thank you. I would come in from the angle of being an entrepreneur. I'm a professional photographer.
Yes.
I tell people professionalism means competence. It means you have to know what you are doing. You have to be the best at what you do. You have to be an expert. Expertise is very important. It's very important to me. Before I do any shoot, I have to do lots of research. I need to do the shoots all over again. Sometimes we do like 3 to 4 rounds before the day, just to ensure that we are already in the shoot and we know how the session is going to be like. And I tell people that you have to communicate with your subject. It's very important to me. Your subject means your client. You have to work hand in hand, because the most important thing is for the shoot to come out as a success.
Absolutely. Well, the thing about professionalism is that professional work ethics demand that you fulfill your obligation. It's actually mandatory that once you have agreed to work for someone, you must fulfill your obligation. It becomes an amana on us. Now, I want to take it from her angle of talking about about competence, because a lot of us find ourselves putting a square peg in a round hole. We don't actually have the skills to do the job, and yet we go ahead and start working. What do you have to say about that?
That's one thing we're facing here in this part of the world.
Yeah.
Clearly, you need to identify the job that has to be done and give it to the best man that can do the job.
Exactly.
Every profession has its ethics, like you rightly mentioned. I mean, as an accountant, you can't joke with accuracy and integrity. Those are your key ethics.
Absolutely.
How do you want to give people wrong figures?
Yeah.
And you say you're an accountant. If people can't rely on figures, that means there's no integrity. Those are key things that drive your profession, and those are the things that stand you out among others. Clearly, in recruiting or even retaining any staff, you got to ensure that they have those work ethics, those professional ethics, and it is being brought to bear. I'll tell you one thing about my profession. At the point of being given that certificate, it's boldly written there. It belongs to the institute that gave it to you. Yeah. So if you go to work and you don't, display that same ethics, you don't bring it to bear, it could be withdrawn from you. And so employers should also go the length and ensure that they get value for their money. Work being assigned to any staff or individual. Yeah. Professional competencies bring to bear on such assignments. And when it is not, refer them to their institutes.
Exactly. You know? That's when we see a lot of shoddy works. That's when we see a lot of things that don't have the perfection and the neatness that it's in every field, even in tailoring. Yeah. You see how somebody ruins an absolutely beautiful garment that you give them because they don't have the competence, they don't have the right skills. You see it in our masons and artisans. They build something and before you know it, it collapses because, or is not straight. And I'm definitely very finicky about fine lines. Things have to be in order. And then you see someone who's ready to collect that money from you, however, doesn't give you what you expect from them. Right. And this issue to do with character is so important in professionalism, that regardless of what profession you are in, regardless of what you choose to do, as long as you have chosen that as your path, as your career, whether it's like her in the entrepreneurial sector or professionally on the job where you are accepting a salary for someone. And also, you know, in every aspect as a Muslim, we're expected to give excellence. Issue to do with character and integrity. That's obviously a big thing that is eating at the fiber of our society. What do you have to say about that, Bimpe?
Nigeria is a very beautiful country.
Yes, I agree.
We have many stories. We've heard many stories about different people at different workplaces. I studied chemical engineering, but I found myself in the banking industry. And of course,
now that's
mixing
two
chemicals.
extremes.
Very extreme, very extreme. But you know, in this country, when an organization is looking for staff, they may just say your BSc degree, and you're just coming right to competency test. Then you pass, then you start. But because I know that I didn't have the banking knowledge, and I was coming from an engineering background, but then, of course, mathematics is pretty basic, I knew that I had to develop myself.
Yes, excellent.
If everybody could know that you need to develop yourself constantly, because I didn't want to, I got a job, at that time I was looking for a job, and the bank was the only place that could take me. And I would not go into that job and not give my 100%, my 200%. When I got to a more senior role in the banking industry, I started to tell everybody reporting into me, you must walk like the MD. You must walk and talk like you own the bank. Because if you do that, when you start your own business, the sky will be just the starting point for you. Because if you treat a business like it is your own, you would not waste the employer's time. You would be mindful of what you signed up on your contract. And you would be, your integrity would just be, you know, we have something that every industry has something that you use in sort of scoring yourself. Yes. And when it gets to integrity, you cannot score, you cannot have semi-integrity or 50%. It's got to be 100%. If you don't have that 100%, then there's something wrong.
That's where we complain so much that we are cheated in everything we do. We find that somebody shortchanges us. And it reminds me of the verse in the Quran, وَيْلٌ لِلْمُطَفِّفِينَ. We demand full measure from people, but we do not give when it's our turn. We shortchange. What else would you say, Queen Bee, with regard to this issue to do with integrity? Because it's so important, so critical. Sometimes on the job you find someone doing personal things when they're being paid. And like I said earlier, once you have accepted to do a job and you have signed on the dotted line, it is an amana on you. It is compulsory for you to give full measure. Allah will ask you what you did with that. Think about occasions where you might have been shortchanged even by 100 naira from that salary. You're going to raise hell. You know, so what else would you say is a big challenge with regard to trying to achieve a more put a square peg in a square hole? Somebody works in an environment where they actually are able to give sincere job.
I would come in from the angle of an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Again.
Yes.
Let me give you an example of a fashion designer. You have a wedding on Saturday. Your clothes is not ready on Friday.
Exactly.
No matter how expert in quotes, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, so what is the essence? Why are you doing the job?
Yeah.
If you cannot deliver when we need it, so it's of no use.
Exactly.
From the photography aspect, we have shoots we do before birthdays. I have to deliver the job before the birthday. It doesn't make sense for me to deliver the job few days after the birthday. I mean, why did I agree to do the job?
Exactly.
So I tell people that you have to be big on integrity. It's not so, yes, you have to be competent, but I believe when you say that I'm going to deliver and let it be there. Another example, when I was working, we would have some employees come to work in the morning. Early in the morning, you came to work and you're on Facebook. I'll be like, why would you do this? Why did you agree to do this? No matter,
because they have free Wi-Fi at work.
Exactly.
Which is what I'm still saying. If you are ready to do the job, do it well. Do it exceptional. Why would you come to work and, I mean, I was not the employer, but I always feel bad anytime I see them on Facebook, chatting, gisting. So I tell them that if you can do this job like this, then I don't think you can be an entrepreneur. I really don't think so.
Exactly.
Because the way you do other people's job, then you're going to do your work better.
Yeah.
I tell people I work overnight. When I was working, I send mails to my MD at night. 3, 4 a.m. we are sending emails. I mean, it's so easy for me to just do that. Some people tell me, you work so hard. I say, yes, because I'm used to it.
Right. And it's
I don't like
integrity.
being lazy.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's about your word. When you pay me that, see, I tell myself that I have to do better than what I did the last time.
Excellent.
So I'm very big on integrity. I like when whatever you say,
Exactly.
whatever. So, and some people be like, okay, maybe because you've worked in a workplace, and I mean, I'm like, no, I think it's about me. I think it's about my character. I think it's about
your name.
My name is
Exactly.
at stake.
Exactly.
When you say I'm going to deliver now, I need to, no matter, I tell my staff, no, even if we have to sleep or we have to get the job done. It's very important to me.
What you just said about working overnight and also making sure that today is not the same as yesterday reminds me of the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ said, he whose 2 days are equal in accomplishment is a sure loser. If what you did today is the same as what you do tomorrow. You stretch, you grow, absolutely. And that actually, we've talked about integrity, we've talked about making sure you have the competence. Now, your attitude towards your work. Some people have a lousy attitude. And if you are not competent, most likely you won't have the right attitude. What would you say about your attitude towards your work, what you bring to bear when you come and you're at your workstation or on duty, so to speak?
Thank you, Miriam. You can't be a good professional if you don't have the right attitude.
Yeah.
You can't joke with dedication.
Exactly.
I mean, she mentioned about turning in mails at 4 a.m. It's because you're committed to the job.
Yeah.
It's one thing to give you a job because you have the skill. Yes, you have the competence. But you've got to have the right attitude.
Absolutely.
You know, most jobs would have a deadline. Like you said, you can't turn in a report that is required on Monday. On a Tuesday, who's going to use it? You're going to lose customers. Businesses will close down.
Exactly.
And so that's why some companies are struggling to survive now in Nigeria. Employees just sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes just have the wrong attitude to work. They're not committed.
Yeah.
You know, they don't give it their all.
Yeah.
Some will tell you, I've been paid to do just this. And then they don't, you just see it in them. That lazy attitude.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's something that worries an average employer.
Exactly. And I think because in our society, often it's who you know.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what you know, it's who you know that helps you climb up the ladder or get those jobs when people who actually have the skills get bypassed, which is really a tragedy. What would you say about the attitude to work? What else could you add to do with this negativity or, disgruntled employees and so on?
You know, if you say you're paid 10 naira per month, and you say you want to work for just the 10 naira per month, you would never grow, you would never learn, you would never be satisfied.
Absolutely.
You know, when I started climbing up the ladder in banking, and alhamdulillah for this, some of my friends that we started banking together, they were like, you're already this, you're already that, you're already... How did you do it? And I'm like, I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because my employers are able to call me and give me challenging roles. And I'm like, can I actually do this? You need to just call me. You need to go and we're setting up this unit. We want you to head it. We're doing this. We're doing that. And I'm like, this is where I'm actually, what I'm used to.
Yeah,
This is where I'm actually competent. They said, no, Bimpe, you can do it. I know you can do it. There was a time one of my former employers called me on the phone from the US. And he was convincing me to take up a new role. And I was also convincing him that I couldn't take up that role. And he said, you know what, I will let you know why you know why you feel you can take up the
Yeah.
phone? You know, after the phone call, we spent almost an hour on the phone. And, you know, when I finally met his wife said, so you're the Bimpe he was talking to daddy. I was like, this negotiation skills now, wow. But, you know, if you have not given your 200, 500% at work, that kind of opportunity would not have come your way.
Absolutely.
Today, I can pick up the phone and call the MD.
Exactly.
And we can have a chat, and I can refer people to him. And even if he says, Bimpe, if you want to come back, you know we are good. So you have to be dedicated.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to go to school to do this. If you don't have the good attitude, then there's nothing you can do.
We can't talk about attitude without talking about punctuality.
Oh,
Something
yes.
as simple as punctuality.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know the resumption time in the office is 8 a.m.
Right.
It's so
But
bad.
you see people working at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
I mean,
Working comfortably.
Don't even
That's
talk
the
about
most
government
Exactly.
establishments. You know, I mean, if it's a private sector, it's a very small thing.
Right.
You won't try that in banking. You're out
Exactly.
the next day.
Yes.
But you know, people just working at 9 a.m. and as if it's 8 a.m. And then when it comes to closing hours, you probably meant to close at 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. And people pick their bags at 12 noon. When they go for lunch, and that's the end of the day.
Yes.
And you just can't go on like that.
Exactly.
No business will survive with such attitude to work. So what we keep saying is, put the right attitude on the job.
Exactly.
Get the job done.
Right.
Exactly.
I remember a story
Yeah.
that one of my bosses then told me in training school. He said it was posted to a new branch, and of course you have different scenarios in the workplace. You cannot adopt a particular leadership style.
Yeah.
You have to change according to the
Be
scenario.
flexible.
So he says he found out that every day people would come in late, stroll in late,
Okay.
and he didn't want to start by firing people. So every morning he resumes at 7 a.m. He stands in front of the branch and he puts his hand behind his back, like strolling up and down. Oh, you coming? Oh, good morning, sir. At 8 o'clock. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you? You see me there day one, day
excellent.
two. You will not want me to see you again like that tomorrow. Everybody started coming in before 7 a.m. before him. And you know, the attitude would be like, I don't want Oga to see me in front today. I must be in the bank before Oga comes in.
Yeah.
And
So
with
you-
time, they'll
exactly,
get used to it.
exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
You get to change.
Yeah. And you wish more people had that without feeling there is a stick.
Right.
There's a consequence. Like, let it be part of your culture, your character.
You know, Maryam, as
know?
Muslims, we do not have a choice but to have the right
Exactly.
attitude to work.
Yes.
The moment I sign up a job contract,
Yes.
they pay regardless. Regardless because I chose to sign it. It
You
wasn't
agree.
You knew
compulsory.
what you were
I
getting
mean,
into.
Consented to
apart
it.
from few cases, the privileged ones in few cases, most of us have to apply for the job. But I was not begged. So when I pick up
Exactly.
these appointments, it's a contract between me, my employer, and Almighty Allah. It's a trust.
Exactly.
It's
It's
a
an
trust.
amana.
Yes, it's a trust. The
Exactly.
moment I'm
Yeah.
conscious of that, I don't need to be reminded to get to work at 8 a.m. I signed up 8 a.m.
Exactly.
We are human beings. If there's a need to take an excuse, I could call my boss.
you.
And you know one good thing about every good boss, if you're committed to your work,
They'll make
they will
excuses
stand
for
by you
Yeah.
if they have to make excuses. They
Right.
will defend you.
Exactly. Yeah.
But when you're strolling at 9 a.m. on a normal day,
And it's a
the day you
habit.
have an accident, they'll be like, oh, really?
That's
Really?
what it does.
Because
Exactly.
you came in at 9 a.m. yesterday,
Exactly.
so what's
Right.
different with today?
Right.
So as a
Exactly.
Muslim, we should be conscious.
Yes.
I mean, it's an identity.
Absolutely.
And you know, when you're a
Yes.
Muslim, you're not just a Muslim when you observe your salat
Yes.
or when you go for Hajj.
All round.
It's a way of,
Exactly.
Islam is
It's
a
a-
way
it's
of
a way
life.
of
It
life.
should
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
in you.
It is.
I mean, I won't go late to work, not because my employer would query me,
Yeah.
but because I'm aware that I've signed up a job.
Exactly.
And if I need to go on leave, then I'll take my leave.
Right.
But otherwise,
Absolutely.
it's an amana.
It's an
It's a
amana,
manner,
and I think
yes.
this issue to do with integrity, how you apply yourself on the job, all these things, once you have, and I love that statement that you made with regard to the fact that, you know, it's almost practically like a brand, your
Yes.
signature style.
Yes.
Let everybody know you, that this is who you are, this is what your character is, and you represent something. And you can be relied upon. They know that you
Yes,
have that
reliability,
integrity
right.
to fulfill your obligations, your amana. Now, I am surrounded by gorgeous fashionistas here. Let's talk about professionalism and our image, what we
Image,
protect,
yes.
project when we dress, how we dress, even in an entrepreneurial setting.
Yes,
You
yes.
obviously want your clients to see you in a particular way. What would you say about professional image, Queen Bee?
It is very important to me.
Yeah.
I tell people, when people look at me, I'm like, are you, sometimes they're like, are you sure you're a photographer? Like, oh my God, you look so good. Can I? I'm like, oh,
Great.
let's go. I'll be like, no, let's get to work. Let's get to work. So it's very important to me. I see
Yeah.
some people, they are not comfortable. I mean, they're not well, they know. I mean, why would you leave your house in the morning and you know that you are going to be pulling your skirt? It's why don't you, which takes me to doing the right things.
Yes.
You have to do the right thing. I mean, you need to be comfortable in the way you are dressed, the way you
wear.
What you wear.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell people it's very important.
Exactly.
The image thing cannot be taken away from professionalism.
Absolutely.
Quite a number of professions have their dress code.
Yes.
I mean, if you're a medical doctor, if I walk into the hospital, I should know you're a doctor. And then if I see a nurse, I should know one.
Yeah.
Same thing with most businesses. If you're a banker, you won't wear jeans to
work on a
to
Monday.
work. You'll be thrown out from, you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's an identity, it's a brand.
Exactly.
You know, it's a brand. You walk
It's
into
a
the
package.
corporate
And you are your
world.
brand.
Yeah.
Exactly. You walk into the corporate world and they see you, they know what you stand for.
Yeah.
Even being an entrepreneur, you go for a bidding and then you're dressed in your jeans. You'll be the contract.
And I tell
Respect
people,
you.
I tell them that first impression lasts
Imagine
longer.
that.
You don't need to open your mouth and like,
Exactly.
okay, before you even say anything, when they look at you, and I mean, people will respect you.
Exactly.
When they say, I mean, salam alaikum,
Yes.
not that they will just look at you like, okay.
Absolutely. They say you only have one chance to make a first
The
impression.
first 2 minutes, the
Impression,
first
yes.
1 minute, the
Exactly.
first 60 seconds.
Your image is the first one that speaks. The
Before you even
moment you
open your
walk
mouth.
into a door, into a room, you've already started speaking before you open your mouth because of your image. And image, what would you say about, obviously, you've worked in a bank and we've been talking about banking, but image generally, what would you contribute about that?
Right. I've had to actually organize a session for all my
Excellent.
staff.
Yeah.
Because I found out everybody was just dressing anyhow.
Yeah.
And they know me. If you're a cleaner, even if you're a senior staff and you dare sag. Of course, you know, there are different ways of sagging. You may think you're wearing a belt and...
How would you sag
And I'm like,
at
young man,
work?
please come here. Come here. Can you please pull up those pants?
Exactly.
Right now. And they're like... And I don't smile when I say these things. And my,
You have a straight face.
Yes,
So
and
you
know
my
we
colleagues,
are-
they know me. So once they see my face has changed, everybody starts to check themselves. What have I done wrong? I've had to call a session and I've said to them, you know, I had to actually bring it back home to them. And I said, look at this thing I'm wearing. Do you think it broke my bank? I told them where I got the particular outfit from, and I told them how much I got, and they were like, "Oh, are you?" I said, "Yes. You don't have to wear designers.
Exactly.
There are places where you can
do your
get a
shopping.
bargain." And I told them this. For the guys, there's what you... Guys, it's even easier because once you have
shirts.
one black suit and one navy blue suit, just change your shirts.
Change your ties.
Change your ties
and
and
your
make
clothes
sure you
and
change
your
your
clothes.
socks.
Exactly.
Maryam, I think we need to emphasize the issue of dressing. As Muslims, especially if you have to wear your hijab or you have this identity.
Exactly.
You should stand out.
Yeah.
And stand out in a good way. Because already you're a
Absolutely.
brand.
Right.
Even before
Exactly.
branding your company, you're already a brand.
Yeah.
I mean, before signing up for any organization, some do have a dress code.
Yeah.
You need to abide with that.
Exactly.
You've got to be very detailed. I mean, like you said, people sag nowadays, and I'm like, where is this
We
going?
do that
not
in
in
the
the-
workplace.
All I do is, when people sag, I just call my boys. Did you see that guy? He's probably, I'll tell them the life profession they would be. You want to be a lawyer and sag. You want to be a medical doctor and sag.
Yeah.
You know, you dress the way you want to be addressed. We need to pay attention to details. Even not in a tie, not a good tie, you know, not properly. You can't wear a suit and then probably wear slippers with a suit.
Thank you.
I mean,
And I've seen that.
you will put anybody off.
Exactly.
Also dress properly.
Yeah.
And then people will address you properly. Dress neatly. You wouldn't know what, I mean, usually, so bosses just walk into the office and they want to go for a meeting. They need somebody to go with. My boss is just Monsurat, let's go together. Because you're well dressed.
look
I work
for
in the
image.
bank, but then this is me on a daily basis. You're ready for a business meeting, you're ready for a business contract. Not when your boss comes in and is like, I know you are meant to go in terms of the competence, but then your appearance,
Your
because
image,
it's
yeah.
part of the job.
You check
It's part
yourself.
of the job.
Another thing is
Yeah.
the smell.
Oh,
Oh
God.
my God.
You don't want to go there.
I don't
Oh, yes.
Gosh.
Excellent. Because it's part of your image.
It's your image. You're
It
walking
is.
into a room and people are like, okay.
And they won't tell you.
that.
This is the worst
Or
part.
you leave a room and you leave yourself behind.
You are still there.
Because
If you find somebody
your
that actually-
offensive odor has refused to live
Yes,
with you.
exactly.
You know, and these are part of being professional.
Exactly.
You know, so beyond your skill, you can't leave your image. It's a
Exactly.
brand anybody wants to sell.
Yeah.
If I'm into the production of this cup, it's because it's a brand. I mean, there are several cups out there.
Right.
So I want this to look unique. I want it to be well patronized.
And different.
And you won't use your stained hand, your dirty hands.
Right.
to take it.
Exactly.
I won't take it from you. So an average employer would always go for the best.
Yeah.
Right? If you're competent, if you don't have the right character, you're going nowhere.
Yeah,
if
Bimpe,
you're
you were saying,
competent
yeah.
and you don't have the, the
I
right
agree with
attitude,
you. When
you're
we
going
do,
nowhere.
when we do delivery, we have it in a white pack. So
Okay.
when you see it, you think I'm carrying cake,
Wow.
cupcakes, or not. So people be like, wait,
Wow,
what's
nice.
in here?
What's
I'm
we
like,
celebrating?
I mean,
Exactly.
so they want to see, they want to. I'm like, no, this is white.
That's the
and you see the
image.
red ribbon. So I
And
mean,
then you
have
present it to them and you are
present it-
smelling.
I mean,
And tell me why they don't give her a fact check at the end of the day. You know?
But you
honestly.
wanted to say something with regard to
You know when you
smelling.
mentioned that and they won't tell you?
Yes.
I was going to say that if
Unfortunately,
somebody
no.
actually tells you, you should be very grateful.
Honestly.
I know.
But
It's
unfortunately, they won't
constructive
tell you.
feedback. And
You see,
unfortunately,
those are the challenges we face.
yes.
it's very difficult to.
Yeah.
I mean,
Most people are not realistic. I mean, an average person won't be able to walk up to you and say, Miriam, you don't
Yes,
smell good. Now, if you
exactly.
have 1 in a million that tells you, for God's sake, be grateful.
Yeah.
Because for her walking up to you, there are several others who have said it behind you.
Right.
Exactly.
You know how we do things, especially in this part of the world. We don't face people, but we say it behind their back.
Yeah.
So let's be willing to listen to criticisms.
And I think
know?
sometimes you may not even, you don't need to wait to be told you smell. For God's sakes, deodorants are out there, antiperspirants.
Personal hygiene.
Use it.
You know
You have
what's-
to be truthful with yourself.
Right.
You have to look in the mirror and say, what am I doing that's not projecting
Right.
this image? You need to project a clean image.
It
And
could
in
be, that's
Islam,
right.
we are told cleanliness is next to godliness. If we always keep this in mind, and Allah loves things that are beautiful.
Right.
He has said it in the Quran. So let us make sure in everything we do, from our image, what we project to the world, and what we do for ourselves, that image is everything. Even if you don't do it for others, make sure every single time you present an image that is dignified, that is respectful, but make sure you dress properly, look properly, behave in the right manner for the right occasion. So whether it's work, whether it's how you interact with people in every aspect and every walk of life, maintain that. After the break, we will come back and go further into professionalism and give fantastic tips. So please join us again after the break. Assalamu alaikum viewers, welcome back to the show Sisterly. Today we're talking about professionalism and how to succeed in the workplace. Before we went on the break, we were talking about image, branding, how to make sure you create your own signature style in how you conduct yourself, in search of excellence in everything we do. Now, it's really important that we always remember that as Muslims, we are meant to do anything in the best of ways. Give our all, 100% or 110%, 200% and 500%,
Like Bimpe
as
said.
Bimpe said. Give your all, give your best. Create a brand that people always know that when it comes to you, you're reliable, you're dependable, you look the right way, you smell the right way, and you give the very best. This reminds me of the verse in the Quran where Allah says, we are khalifas. We are vicegerents, we are his representatives, his ambassadors. And of course, imagine this huge responsibility that is on our shoulder to be Allah's ambassadors. It means we have to walk the talk. We have to look a certain way and conduct ourselves in all our affairs. And that's why we mentioned integrity in how we work, that we are trustworthy, we are reliable, we're dependable. And then image, as we said, Allah loves to see beautiful things. He wants us to be beautiful. He wants us to be clean, and so on. Now, let us talk about what is considered to be unprofessional. Since we've talked about expectations of being professional, what would you say, Bimpe, is an unprofessional behavior?
I'll start by citing an example.
Yes.
I recall one of my last bosses was sort of scolding another staff. I think the lady was actually crying at work. You know, we women, we wear many caps. We wear many hats.
Yeah.
A mother, you are a sister, you are a wife, you are so many things. You are
you're
the
a career
housemaid,
woman
I
at the
think you're a
same time.
career woman,
Exactly.
you're expected to be a superwoman. And we are superwomen.
Yes. Without superhuman skills. But we are superwomen. We multitask.
We
do.
multitask.
Go on.
And
Yes.
the woman, this particular lady was actually crying. And my boss told her, never ever cry at work. Never cry at work.
is so
No matter what the situation, try as much as possible to not bring your personal problems
Yeah,
to work.
to work.
It is difficult. We are human.
Yeah.
We're only human. You may just remember something, maybe you're going through a difficult spouse, a difficult moment at home, or even so many things could
Issues
happen.
that come up.
Yes.
And you know, from that day, I was also able to, you know,
Take
when
a
you have a
cue
good
from
boss,
that,
when you have a
yes.
good boss, you can actually also improve on yourself, and you're able to improve on others, and you're able to pass on the value to others. So bringing up your baggage at home, I call it baggage because we go through a lot of things.
Exactly.
So the workplace, there has to be a differentiation.
Absolutely.
A workplace is a workplace. Your employer has your time. Your employer is paying for your time. You shouldn't bring your marital issues, your family issues
problems
to work. Let it stay at home.
And don't be disgruntled as you're working, where you're actually working angrily and so on. Absolutely. Another thing, I wouldn't say a mistake, but another bad habit is sometimes allowing friends to visit you at work. And if that is not accepted in company policy, you need to ask or go outside and meet them and make sure it's not affecting what you're being paid to do. Sometimes we bring children to work, and it's a very professional setting, and children aren't considered to be professionals.
That's not part of the job.
Because there's no guarantee of how they are going to behave.
I remember when I was actually in between nannies, and my children were growing then, and I had no choice. I had no choice. That it was a weekday, and I had no choice. I had to quickly go and meet my very difficult boss at that time. I said, there's nothing I can do. I've searched everywhere. This is short notice. Tomorrow, I will make sure I get a, what do they call them now? Alternative arrangement, and put them up somewhere. But today I had to beg. I said they would stay in the lounge, and I'll make sure they don't disturb. And you know, it wasn't good, because I mean, if everybody came with that kind of request, then the place would turn to a nursery.
Exactly.
So that was a one-off issue, and that was why it was accepted.
Which is acceptable.
Honestly, you see, most workplaces, most professions will have code of conduct.
Yes.
So anything outside that is seen as
it's unprofessional.
Exactly. I mean, if you're a medical doctor and then I'm a patient, I come to you with my medical issues. And just because you know a cousin or friend of mine, and then my own personal medical issues becomes what you talk about, that is highly unprofessional.
Exactly.
In countries where they look at right, you could be sued for that.
Lack of confidentiality.
Lack of confidentiality.
Excellent, yeah.
Usually, most workplaces also have their own code of conduct.
Yeah.
You're meant to eat in the kitchenette or in the canteen. You don't bring your food to the office.
Excellent.
I mean, and then what is so common nowadays, well, not even now, it's been there for a while, you see people bringing things to sell in the office.
Oh, I hate that.
You know, so because I'm a banker, and then because when I go on vacation, I buy some things, and then I bring them to the office, and that's selling. Exactly. Or probably my cousin sells fabrics, and then I bring them to the, I mean, that is highly unprofessional.
Turning the office to a marketplace.
Exactly. That's highly unprofessional.
Exactly. Another thing too I've observed is you find some people bringing religion into the workplace. And there is no, unless it's a religious organization, sometimes you find people praying in a workplace. You know, they say prayers or they sing religious songs and so on, and it's not professional.
It's not.
I know when I was working overseas and I had a position that was in a corporate organization, the moment I was interviewing with the boss, I said from the onset that I'm a Muslim, and if you decide to take me, I would like to request that I have a private space that I can say my prayers. I said I don't need anything big, but just somewhere where it's not going to be in the public space where the customers see it, or even my colleagues. So they gave me one little store where I kept my prayer mat and so on, and when it was time to pray, I said my prayers. Not for us to suddenly go into prayer or song. Sometimes we find people singing religious songs, and that is also considered to be unprofessional. Do you have any other things you've observed about unprofessional behavior, Queen Bee?
The one that comes to my mind right now is lunch break.
Yeah.
People, I mean, you're supposed to go for lunch.
1 hour lunch?
1 hour or 30 minutes, then you call your friend, can you meet me? It's not called for. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Even though, I mean, you know, they're not checking the time, like, okay, it's leaving by 12, it needs to come by 1. Exactly. You go 3 hours, 4 hours. I mean, lunch dates.
Yeah.
That is very... I see
lunch
that like
break turns to a lunch date.
I mean, unprofessional. That is so unprofessional.
Most organizations now are using their clock card, you know.
Yes, when you're going for that,
you'll be well timed. So if you use your 2 hours, a 1 hour lunch break, if that turns into 2 or 3 hours, you get your credit for that.
That is perfect.
And then for the benefit of the viewers, Miriam, you did mention that in your own case, you are given a small room to pray. I'm sure somebody will say, oh, you had the opportunity. Yeah. If an employer cannot give you a small room to pray, you have to go out and pray.
Exactly.
You cannot just turn his office into a prayer room.
Thank you.
He didn't employ you to come and pray. I am a Muslim. If my employer has a space where I can pray, good and fine for me.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have, I could use my lunch break.
Exactly.
You know, so we
Exactly.
need, look, people are in business to make money.
Right.
It's not for
Yes.
charity.
Right.
Exactly.
So I need to respect the ethics and the contract
Exactly.
I signed.
And I
that is
could
very
sign the
clear from
contract.
day one.
Exactly.
Yeah, that should be clear from day one.
You have to just think right.
Yes.
Yes, if your company will allow and you've negotiated with them,
Yes, it's okay,
definitely.
but if
There is
not-
a wide range of the space allowed to pray. Not just the moment you hear the call to pray, it means
Yes.
quit everything in the middle of
Exactly.
interacting with the
Exactly.
customer. There is a gap of at least 30 minutes, even more than an
hour,
hour
right.
when it comes to prayer time. So you may be able to sneak off and get to
can
say
even
your
say
prayers.
your-
And you could also structure your own lunch break.
Yeah, your lunch-
prayer
yeah,
time.
that's what I wanted to
You
say.
know,
Exactly.
okay, so I'm a Muslim. I have to say by Zuhr and Ashri in the office. I could structure my lunch break between 2 and 3
Yeah.
or 1 and 2.
Exactly.
I can't use the employer's time for my own personal. I mean,
Right.
the fact that I'm a
Exactly.
Muslim does not mean
Yeah.
he is a Muslim.
Right.
Exactly.
And even if he is a Muslim, he's not in business for charity.
He will tell you he didn't employ you to come and pray.
Exactly.
Exactly. Another thing people do is vulgar jokes while at work or inappropriate physical contact. This obviously has become very common. People have gotten so used to it. Even telling jokes. You are having a discussion and this person just chooses to be a clown in a professional setting and crack a joke for everybody. It isn't professional. We need to watch ourselves in our conduct in everything we do, no matter what the profession is.
Miriam, something as simple as a phone.
Yeah.
You know, if you're in a workplace, it's a work environment for God's sake.
Yes.
Your ringtone should be at the lowest, if
Exactly.
possible.
Right. Exactly.
Just something for you to know that it's going on and you
Yeah.
need to attend to it.
Exactly.
When you hear people with this very loud
Loud
ringtones,
music.
Funny
not
ringtone,
funny,
something not
it's
professional.
not a music
Exactly.
or, you know, these are
Exactly.
things we need to pay attention
Yeah.
to. It could send the wrong signal to customers coming in.
Exactly.
You enter some offices, it's all noisy. People talking in the local dialect, and
Yeah.
is this an office
That
or an
is so-
extension
I
of your
mean,
home?
I have
Exactly.
witnessed that several, and I'm like, why would you do that?
Exactly.
I used to have a boss then. He has some, I would say, vulgar language, like some, I mean, a boss shouldn't be saying things like that. I don't want to say that, but I mean,
Okay.
some funny, and I'm like, this is not professional. Yes, you are the boss, but you should
Watch your
inspire
tongue.
people. I mean, you don't talk
Respect.
like this, respect. You don't, even though the person is a cleaner, but you don't talk to them anyhow. I don't like when you talk to people anyhow. Respect is reciprocal. So
Exactly.
even if the person, is, I mean, it works for you, you still have to respect. I mean, so it's for me, it's unprofessional.
Exactly. Exactly. And
You know,
what
my,
about
my,
yeah.
my last place of work, my former place of work before the last one, there was a very senior officer, then a very, very senior person. And I think he felt maybe because he was very senior, he could turn the office place to a secondary school or something. So someone did something, and I think it was a lady, and he asked her to face the wall.
Oh my God.
Did I hear you say face the world?
Face the
my
wall.
God.
That's why I
Wow.
said he turned the
Yes.
company then into a secondary school. Of course, the lady had to face the wall.
Why
Right?
did you do
Then
that?
I don't know how HR got to know, right? And the guy
was
was
taken
fired
off.
on the spot.
Oh, that's such an extreme
He was
case.
fired immediately, and you know
Yeah.
that gave other people the power to be able to
confidence.
the confidence to
Speak
speak
out.
up.
Yeah.
Because there are so many bosses that, in as much as we are bosses and we already know what to do and what not to do, some people abuse the power of being a
Yes.
boss.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
Yes.
That reminds me of you sending your subordinates. Can you go and pick that for me? Can you go and buy lot? I mean,
Personal
things.
errands.
personal errands. Can you go to the bank? Go. You don't
Go
have
pick
to
up
do
my
that.
laundry.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's something as petty as that.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do that at work.
Yeah, yeah. Employers, it behoves on employers to determine, to a large extent,
The code.
and help enforce professionalism in their workplace.
Yeah.
If you have an HR, you should have an HR policy. Even if you have staff as small as 5, you should have an HR policy.
Exactly.
You can't send somebody on personal errands.
Yeah.
If you have cleaners, it's a different thing.
Yeah.
Even cleaners.
Even
I have some
cleaners.
companies, the cleaners don't go on personal errands
Yeah.
because they're there
Because
to
they're
clean.
employed to clean.
Exactly.
They were
That's
employed to
their
clean,
job.
But you know, when you have people abusing these roles,
Yeah.
The former office, this guy used to bring in food with low-cost bin.
Oh, the smell.
you can
If
imagine
you're a
the smell.
Yoruba
Very
person
offensive.
or you eat local food, you would know that when you open it
The
up,
moment you
when
open
you
the
not put
cooler.
it in the microwave,
Yeah.
everywhere
Oh my
is
God.
has turned into the local market.
Yeah.
We had to call. You cannot be bringing this kind of food because it is offensive smell.
Yeah.
In as much as we say you must look good, smell good, the food you eat must also smell good. I'm sorry. I cannot have this on my body
Yes.
for the entire day.
Another thing I would say in particular that can destroy an organization and a company is office gossip, politics. You find people talking, backbiting, hopping from table to table, as you said,
Yes.
who is pregnant, who was this
Latest
one.
gist,
Exactly.
you know?
Exactly. It really can become a serious problem that can destroy the organization, because I may not have had a problem with you, but suddenly politics now requires that for me to go ahead and talk and try and, cause trouble, stir trouble, and become a big problem and a liability. Now, one thing I want us to talk about is how we behave in meetings, professionalism during meetings, how we conduct ourselves. And what would you say about that? What would you contribute with regard to professionalism during meetings?
I think the first thing is timing.
Yeah.
When they say the meeting starts at 8, be
Exactly.
there before 8, not when they are starting.
Yes.
Be there before 8.
Punctuality.
It's very punctuality.
Absolutely.
It's very important.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
I tell people, any gathering you are, be ready to add value. You can't just sit in a meeting and you are on the phone, you are pressing your phone,
Exactly.
and you are just
Oh, I'm coming, I'll call you
clueless.
back.
You don't even know what you're...
Honestly,
Yeah, I'll call you back. I have a driver that, how would you're driving and say, I'll call you back, I'm driving. You don't have to pick it up.
I had a former boss that said to me, when you walk into a gathering, you must ask a question. You must leave an impression. People must know that you were there. If there are thousands of people in that gathering, you must say something. You must find a way to say something. That particular boss gave me the confidence to do anything. If you have a boss that can actually say that to you, then you would know that you cannot go into a meeting and sleep off on the phone or play on your phone all day. And when they say, do you have any questions? And everybody just looks up. No, let's go.
Exactly. You didn't contribute.
At the end of the year, you're
Miriam,
saying you were not paid a bonus. How are you going to get a bonus?
Exactly. Yes, dear.
The way office meetings go nowadays actually calls for concern, especially with the use of our phones.
Yeah.
You know, a meeting is going on and then people are actually chatting.
Yes.
They are literally not part of that meeting from day one. They don't know what's being said.
Regardless of how boring the meeting is, it's not professional.
They're actively on their social media.
Exactly.
So how do you grow a company that way?
Exactly.
I mean,
That reminds me, some people do selfies.
Yes,
in
during meetings.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
It's not
Yes.
I see it on social media.
Yeah.
You don't do that, and some people
No.
like to take it.
and they'll
Excuse
tag
me.
in the meeting.
And another thing, excuse me, please, you're out again. 30-minute session. Why can't you
Yeah.
just dedicate the 30 minutes for
that
your
particular
job.
meeting.
you're out like 3 times in 30 minutes. Why
And
are
then
you
side
there?
talk, I hate that. I'm talking, and then some people are chatting with each other. It's so unprofessional. It's disrespectful. It's rude.
And distracting.
It is very
It is.
distracting.
It
And
is.
it's not fair to the person sitting next to you who really wants to hear
Exactly.
what is being said. But before you know it, you are making it look like it's a culture. It's acceptable. Somebody new may not know and feel, oh, they chat in meetings, and they copy the bad habits of other people. This goes back to how we see ourselves and what we want to project or present in the office. A very disturbing culture is, having relationships with colleagues. It's extremely
God.
unprofessional. It's a no-no. So seriously, this issue to do with office dating and nurturing relationships and so on, it's such a huge concern.
It is a huge concern.
Yeah.
I would just go back to what the code of conduct in every company is. In most companies, they frown at such things.
Of course.
And then they are not willing to employ both husband and wife in the same workplace for most organizations.
In some places, yes.
And then I will also look at it from the religious angle. Now, I am a Muslim woman, and if I have a Muslim male colleague, when you say dating, is he going to date me because he wants to marry me?
Exactly.
Because I know as a Muslim, I cannot have a relationship that will not lead to marriages.
Exactly.
So if I am already into a marriage, or I'm already into a relationship that should lead to marriage, I don't have business with such.
Exactly. And do it at home.
Exactly. Beyond all these ethics, we are also Muslims.
Exactly.
And this should always be at the back of our mind.
Yeah.
Right.
Beyond what my employer says they want, I need to give him more than that. I need to bring him the
Exactly.
fact that I am a Muslim. So
Exactly.
if I have somebody who is willing to marry me, and I'm not yet married,
Exactly.
then we'll think seriously of that. And if it's against the company policy for us to be there, somebody might have to leave.
Exactly.
Somebody might have to
and
leave.
then also, again, we reiterate, keep it out of the workplace.
Exactly, out of the
Keep
office.
it out of the office. You could have a spat one day, and the two of you, there will be tension
It does
while
happen.
you're at work. Yes.
It does happen.
Absolutely.
And then that's when HR gets to know officially what has been going on.
Exactly.
Right.
We've come to the end of the show. We've talked about professionalism. We've talked about how to succeed in the workplace. Inshallah, we pray that all the tips that we have shared, my sisters have given, will help you, even if there were some bad habits that you were using in the workplace. Some of of the things we've mentioned, hopefully you can break them and stand out and be extraordinary and be indispensable in your work, inshallah. May Allah make it easy for you.
Ameen.
So thank you for joining us on the show, Sisterly. Assalamu alaikum from me, Maryam. Yours,
Sisterly.